We all seek a deeper sense of purpose, peace, and understanding in our lives. We search for a path that leads to freedom, inner tranquility, and fulfillment. But what if I told you that the answers have already been shared and they've been waiting for you in the timeless teachings of spiritual wisdom? Throughout history, great masters, sages, and philosophers have offered us profound insights into how to live a life of harmony, purpose, and deep joy. These insights are not bound by time or place. These principles have remained true for centuries, and they will continue to resonate as long as humanity exists. They are the 20 timeless spiritual principles that will change your life. In this video, we'll explore these principles together. Each one offers a transformative shift in the way we view ourselves and the world around us. These aren't just abstract ideas or spiritual concepts. They are practical, life-changing truths that can radically shift how you experience your reality. Self-awareness is the key that unlocks the doors to personal growth and spiritual awakening. Most people live their lives on autopilot, unaware of the underlying thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that guide their actions. The choices we make, the relationships we form, and even the obstacles we encounter are deeply influenced by our unconscious patterns. Without understanding who we truly are, we continue to react to life rather than respond intentionally. It's only by shining the light of awareness onto ourselves that we can begin to see clearly, make wiser decisions, and align with our higher purpose. Self-awareness is the starting point of transformation. Without it, we cannot change what we don't know needs changing. It is through self-awareness that we become conscious of our inner world and start to consciously shape our outer reality. When we begin to understand the patterns that influence us, we can break free from automatic responses and take charge of our lives. True power lies not in control over the outside world, but in control over our inner world. When we understand ourselves, our emotions, and our thought processes, we are no longer enslaved by them. Instead of being swept away by emotional reactions, we stand firmly in the center of our awareness, choosing how to respond rather than react. This is where personal empowerment begins. The ability to observe yourself without judgment allows you to see the patterns that drive you. You might notice how certain triggers or situations provoke automatic responses that you have been acting on for years, often without realizing it. Once you have this awareness, you can choose differently. This awareness helps us take responsibility for our choices and actions, empowering us to live more authentically and consciously. Self-awareness is closely tied to emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence refers to the ability to identify, understand, and manage our emotions and the emotions of others. It is the foundation of healthy relationships and wise decision-making. If we are not aware of our emotional state, we cannot hope to regulate it effectively. The more self-aware we become, the more we understand the connection between our emotions and behaviors. Consider someone who is deeply self-aware and notices their frustration building up. Instead of reacting in anger or frustration, they take a moment to pause, breathe, and reflect. In that moment of clarity, they may realize that their frustration is rooted in unmet expectations or stress from earlier in the day. With this insight, they can choose to address the underlying cause rather than act out their emotions impulsively. By recognizing emotions before they control us, we gain the ability to respond with greater calm and understanding. This self-awareness is key to building emotional intelligence, which in turn leads to better interactions, deeper connections, and more effective communication. One of the best ways to develop self-awareness is through mindfulness practices. Mindfulness allows us to observe our thoughts, feelings, and body sensations in the present moment. Start with just 5 minutes of quiet reflection each day. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and simply observe whatever comes up without judgment or attachment. Allow your thoughts to flow freely, acknowledging them as they arise, but not getting lost in them. Another powerful tool for building self-awareness is journaling. Each day, write down one moment where you became aware of your emotions and thought processes. For instance, perhaps you noticed a feeling of anxiety during a conversation, or a sense of peace after spending time in nature. As you reflect on these experiences, you'll begin to notice patterns in your behavior and emotions that were once hidden from you. By making time for these practices, you develop the habit of self-reflection, gradually increasing your understanding of your inner world. Over time, this awareness becomes a natural and essential part of your life. Self-awareness is a lifelong journey, and there is no final destination. The more you become aware of your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, the more you will align with your true self. You will find greater clarity, peace, and purpose in your life. Remember, the first step toward any meaningful change is understanding where you currently stand. By shining the light of awareness on your thoughts, emotions, and actions, you open the door to deeper transformation and a more authentic way of living. Inner peace is not just the absence of conflict, but the presence of deep, unshakable calm amidst life's inevitable challenges. Many people seek peace through external circumstances, whether it's through controlling the environment around them, achieving success, or acquiring possessions. But true peace can never be found outside of ourselves. It is an inner state that transcends the chaos of the world and is available to us at any moment. When we cultivate inner peace, we are no longer at the mercy of external conditions. Instead, we learn to navigate through life with a calm, centered mind, regardless of what is happening around us. Achieving inner peace requires us to let go of the constant striving and resistance that keeps us in a perpetual state of tension. We often think that peace is something we must fight for or earn, but in reality, it is a state of being that we can simply allow. The more we let go of our attachment to outcomes, the more we open ourselves to the peace that already exists within us. It is in the moments of stillness, when we are not caught up in the rush of thoughts, that we experience a profound sense of peace. This peace does not depend on having everything perfect or under control. It comes from embracing life as it is, with all its imperfections and uncertainties. Many people are caught in a cycle of worry, fear, and anxiety because they are constantly focused on the future or the past. We often replay old conversations in our heads, worrying about what was said or how we were perceived. Or we get lost in thoughts about what might happen, imagining worst-case scenarios that haven't even occurred. But peace only exists in the present moment. When we are fully present, we stop worrying about the future and stop ruminating about the past. We embrace the now with all its simplicity and beauty. In the present moment, we find that everything is already perfect as it is. Cultivating inner peace also requires us to release judgment, both of ourselves and others. Judgment creates division and conflict within our minds. When we judge, we are unable to see things as they truly are. Instead, we view them through the lens of our preconceived ideas and beliefs, which are often shaped by past experiences. When we stop judging, we create space for acceptance and understanding. We begin to see ourselves and others with compassion, recognizing that everyone is doing the best they can with the knowledge and resources they have. Another key aspect of inner peace is forgiveness. Holding on to grudges, resentment, and anger only weighs us down. These negative emotions are like chains that keep us tethered to the past, preventing us from moving forward. Forgiveness is not about excusing the behavior of others. It is about freeing ourselves from the emotional burden of carrying those negative feelings. When we forgive, we release the hold that past pain has over us, and in doing so, we make space for healing and peace. Forgiveness allows us to let go of the emotional baggage that keeps us from experiencing true peace. One powerful practice for cultivating inner peace is meditation. Meditation allows us to quiet the mind, release stress, and connect with the deeper, more peaceful aspects of ourselves. In silence, we are able to observe our thoughts without becoming entangled in them. We learn to let go of the need to control or judge our thoughts, allowing them to come and go like passing clouds. As we meditate, we develop the ability to return to a state of peace, no matter what external challenges may arise. With regular practice, we become more grounded, centered, and able to maintain peace in the midst of life's storms. Another way to cultivate inner peace is through self-compassion. Often we are our own harshest critics, constantly judging ourselves for our mistakes or perceived shortcomings. But self-compassion is the antidote to this inner turmoil. When we treat ourselves with kindness and understanding, we create a foundation of peace within. We learn to accept our imperfections and embrace our humanity, knowing that we are worthy of love and compassion just as we are. When we make peace with ourselves, we are more capable of experiencing peace in all areas of our lives. Inner peace does not mean the absence of challenges or struggles. It means having the strength to face life's difficulties with a calm and centered mind. When we are at peace within, external circumstances no longer have the power to disturb our inner equilibrium. Life becomes less about overcoming external obstacles and more about mastering our inner state. By cultivating inner peace, we become unshakable, able to meet whatever comes our way with grace and serenity. Detachment is not about withdrawing from the world or abandoning relationships. It is about learning not to be overly attached to outcomes, possessions, or even identities. We live in a world that often encourages us to seek external validation, accumulate material wealth, and define ourselves by our roles and achievements. However, this attachment to external things can lead to suffering when those things are inevitably lost or changed. Detachment, on the other hand, allows us to experience life fully without clinging to it. It is the ability to enjoy the present moment and all its offerings while maintaining the awareness that nothing is permanent. When we practice detachment, we stop letting our happiness depend on what we have or don't have. We stop tying our sense of self-worth to our possessions, achievements, or relationships. This does not mean we stop caring about these things, but it means we no longer allow them to define us. We learn to appreciate the fleeting nature of life and embrace the impermanence of all things. Just as a leaf falls from a tree without resistance, we can move through life with the same fluidity, accepting the ebb and flow of experiences without grasping at them. Detachment also frees us from the cycle of desire and craving. We often chase after things, money, fame, love, believing that they will bring us happiness and fulfillment. But in truth, these external pursuits often only leave us feeling more empty and unfulfilled. The more we attach ourselves to desires, the more they control us. Detachment allows us to let go of the need to control our desires, recognizing that true fulfillment comes not from acquiring more, but from appreciating what we already have. One key aspect of detachment is learning to let go of expectations. When we expect things to go a certain way, or for people to behave in a particular manner, we set ourselves up for disappointment. Life rarely goes according to plan, and the more rigid our expectations, the more suffering we experience. Detachment allows us to approach life with an open heart and mind, free from the need for things to unfold exactly as we imagine. We learn to trust that whatever happens is part of the greater plan, and that even when things don't go as we expected, they are still unfolding in the way that is best for us. In relationships, detachment does not mean becoming distant or indifferent. It means learning to love without clinging, to care without becoming possessive. When we are attached to someone, we may unconsciously try to control them or hold on to them out of fear of losing them. But true love is not based on possession. It is based on freedom, the freedom to be who we truly are and to let others be who they truly are. Detachment in relationships allows both people to grow and evolve without fear of losing each other. It creates a space for love to flourish, free from the constraints of expectation and attachment. Detachment also teaches us to release the need for approval. So often, we seek validation from others, hoping that their approval will give us a sense of worth. But when we are detached from the need for approval, we are free to live authentically. We stop living according to the expectations of others and begin living according to our own truth. This doesn't mean we become insensitive to the feelings of others. It simply means we no longer define our value based on their opinions. When we are detached from the need for approval, we can walk our own path with confidence and peace. It is important to note that detachment does not mean apathy. It is not about withdrawing from life or disengaging from our responsibilities. On the contrary, detachment allows us to engage more deeply with life because we are not attached to the outcome. We are able to act with greater clarity and purpose, free from the anxiety of attachment. We can give and receive love, work toward our goals, and be present in our relationships without becoming overly attached to the result. Detachment allows us to experience life in a more balanced and harmonious way. Practicing detachment can be challenging, especially in a world that values accumulation and attachment, but the rewards of detachment are profound. It brings a sense of freedom, peace, and emotional resilience. It allows us to experience life without fear of loss and to navigate the ups and downs of life with greater ease. By practicing detachment, we free ourselves from the chains of attachment and create space for a deeper, more authentic connection with ourselves and others. The present moment is all we truly have. In our fast-paced world, we often find ourselves lost in thoughts of the past or future, while the beauty and peace of the present slip through our fingers unnoticed. The mind constantly pulls us away from the now, distracting us with regrets, anxieties, and anticipations. However, true peace and happiness are found only when we embrace the present moment, for it is in the present where life truly unfolds. Present moment awareness is the practice of being fully engaged with the here and now, without distraction or judgment. It is about experiencing life as it is, in its raw, unfiltered form, without imposing thoughts or interpretations onto it. When we become aware of the present moment, we connect with life in its most genuine and untainted form. We stop living in a dream world of past memories or future fantasies and begin to live with clarity, presence, and purpose. One of the most powerful ways to cultivate present moment awareness is through mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of paying attention to our thoughts, feelings, and surroundings in a non-judgmental way. It allows us to observe our inner world and outer experiences without getting caught up in them. Through mindfulness, we learn to accept each moment as it is, without trying to change or control it. We learn to appreciate the ordinary moments of life, sipping a cup of tea, feeling the breeze on our skin, or hearing the sound of birds in the distance. These small, simple moments, when fully embraced, become the source of profound peace. When we are fully present, we stop living in a state of constant distraction. We stop scrolling through our phones, worrying about the future, or regretting the past. Instead, we learn to focus on what is in front of us, giving our full attention to whatever task or person we are engaged with. Whether we are working, spending time with loved ones, or enjoying nature, the present moment offers us an opportunity to be deeply connected to the world around us. Present moment awareness also allows us to break free from the cycle of stress and anxiety. Much of our stress arises from our tendency to focus on what may or may not happen in the future. We worry about things we cannot control, imagining worst-case scenarios and creating mental stories that fuel our anxiety. By shifting our focus to the present moment, we release the need to control the future and let go of the mental chatter that causes us suffering. We realize that the future is not real, and all we truly have is the now. In relationships, present moment awareness allows us to be more attentive, compassionate, and engaged. When we are fully present with others, we stop thinking about our own thoughts or distractions and give them our full attention. We listen deeply, without judgment, and connect with others in a more authentic way. This kind of presence creates a space for meaningful communication and intimacy, where both parties feel truly seen and heard. Living in the present also means releasing our attachment to the past. The past may have shaped us, but it does not define us. We often carry emotional baggage from past experiences, letting them influence our present actions and thoughts. But the present moment is a blank canvas, free from the weight of past regrets or mistakes. When we learn to let go of the past, we open ourselves up to new possibilities and experiences. We are no longer bound by the stories of what has happened, and we can begin to create a new reality for ourselves, grounded in the present. Another aspect of present moment awareness is the acceptance of what is. Often, we resist the current moment, wishing things were different, better, or more comfortable. This resistance creates inner conflict and suffering. But when we accept the present moment as it is, without judgment or resistance, we experience a profound sense of peace. We stop fighting against reality and start flowing with it. We learn to trust that life is unfolding exactly as it should, even if it doesn't look the way we expect or desire. Cultivating present moment awareness is a practice that requires patience and dedication. Our minds are naturally prone to distraction, and it takes time to train ourselves to stay present. However, the rewards are well worth the effort. When we embrace the present moment, we find peace, clarity, and joy. We experience life in its fullest form, free from the burden of past regrets or future anxieties. We realize that life is happening right now, and that is enough. Attachment is one of the greatest sources of suffering in life. We form attachments to people, outcomes, material possessions, and even our own identities. We believe that our happiness is dependent on these attachments. But in reality, the more we cling to them, the more we suffer. Attachment creates a sense of need, a constant desire to control or hold on to what we value. And when we are faced with the potential loss of these things, we experience anxiety, fear, and grief. Letting go of attachment does not mean we become indifferent or detached from life. It means we learn to engage with life fully without the constant need to possess or control. It means we allow ourselves to experience things and people without holding them too tightly. We learn to appreciate life for what it is, not for what it can give us or what we can take from it. Letting go of attachment means accepting the impermanence of everything, understanding that nothing in life is permanent, including our own existence. Attachment often arises from fear, the fear of losing what we value, the fear of being alone, the fear of not having enough. These fears drive us to cling to things, to try and secure our happiness through external circumstances. We think that if we have the perfect relationship, the perfect job, or the perfect possessions, we will be happy. But true happiness is not found in external things. It is found in inner peace and contentment, in the ability to let go and be free from the grasp of attachment. When we let go of attachment, we open ourselves up to the freedom of living in the moment. We stop worrying about what will happen in the future or lamenting what has already passed. Instead, we learn to flow with life, accepting each moment as it comes. We realize that nothing is permanent. Relationships evolve, possessions come and go, and our desires change over time. By letting go of our attachment to these things, we are no longer controlled by them. We become free to live authentically, without the burden of expectations or the fear of loss. This doesn't mean we should stop caring about the people and things in our lives. It means we stop attaching our sense of worth or happiness to them. When we are attached to something, we are often fearful of losing it, which leads to anxiety and stress. But when we let go of attachment, we can experience love and joy without the weight of fear. We can love others deeply without needing them to fulfill our desires or expectations. We can enjoy material things without the need to possess them, knowing that they are temporary. Letting go of attachment also means letting go of the need to control. We cannot control everything in life, no matter how much we try. The more we try to control things, the more we create resistance and struggle. Instead of trying to control life, we learn to surrender to it. We trust that life will unfold as it is meant to, and that we are exactly where we need to be. We stop fighting against what is and begin to flow with it. This shift from control to surrender creates a profound sense of peace and freedom, as we no longer feel the need to manipulate or force outcomes. In relationships, letting go of attachment allows us to love without possessiveness. We stop trying to control or change the people in our lives, and instead allow them to be who they are. We give them the freedom to live their own lives, free from our expectations. This creates a space for mutual respect, trust, and love, where both people can grow and evolve without fear of judgment or rejection. Letting go of attachment also applies to our own identity. We often attach ourselves to labels, roles, and titles, believing that they define who we are. But when we cling to these identities, we limit our true potential. Our identity is not fixed or rigid. It is fluid and ever-evolving. When we let go of the need to define ourselves by external labels, we open ourselves up to a deeper sense of self, one that is not limited by social expectations or personal achievements. We are free to explore who we truly are, beyond the confines of ego and societal roles. The practice of letting go of attachment requires mindfulness and awareness. We must become aware of the things we are attached to, whether they are people, outcomes, material possessions, or our own identities. and recognize how they are influencing our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Once we become aware of these attachments, we can begin to loosen our grip and practice detachment. This doesn't happen overnight, but with consistent effort and practice, we can gradually release our attachments and experience greater freedom and peace. Ultimately, letting go of attachment is a practice of trust. We trust that life is unfolding as it should, that we are supported by the universe, and that we do not need to control or cling to anything in order to be happy. We trust that everything we need is already within us, and that by releasing attachment, we allow ourselves to experience the fullness of life. We realize that true happiness comes from within, not from external circumstances. And when we let go of attachment, we find that we are already enough. The present moment is the only moment that truly exists. The past is gone, and the future is uncertain. Yet most of us spend our lives dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, often missing the richness of the present. We become caught in our thoughts, replaying past events or projecting fears and desires onto the future, which pulls us away from the only reality that is real, the here and now. Living in the present moment is about embracing the current moment with full awareness, free from judgment or distraction. It is about being completely immersed in what is happening right now, without the need to change it or control it. The present moment is where life is truly lived. When we are fully present, we experience a sense of peace, clarity, and connection that is unavailable when our minds are preoccupied with past regrets or future anxieties. One of the greatest obstacles to living in the present is our tendency to get caught in the noise of our minds. We constantly think about the past, replaying old memories, or worrying about the future, making it difficult to be fully engaged in the present. This mind chatter creates stress and anxiety, preventing us from experiencing life in its fullness. But when we learn to quiet the mind and focus on the present, we open ourselves to the beauty and peace that is always available to us. Mindfulness is the practice of being present in every moment. It is the ability to observe our thoughts, emotions, and surroundings without becoming attached to them. When we practice mindfulness, we become more aware of the richness of the present moment, the sounds, sights, smells, and sensations that make up our experience of life. We no longer need to search for happiness in the future or try to escape the past. We begin to see that everything we need is already here, in this moment. Living in the present moment also means accepting things as they are, without resistance. We stop trying to force things to be different or wishing for things to change. Instead, we accept life as it is, with all its imperfections and challenges. By accepting the present moment, we create space for peace and contentment to arise. We realize that everything that happens is part of the flow of life, and even the difficult moments have something to teach us. When we are fully present, we are able to connect more deeply with others. We listen without judgment, respond with empathy, and share our true selves without distractions. In relationships, this presence creates a deeper sense of intimacy and understanding, allowing for genuine connection. We stop worrying about what others think of us or how we appear, and we begin to simply be ourselves in the moment, free from pretense or self-consciousness. Living in the present moment also requires letting go of the need for constant stimulation or distraction. In today's fast-paced world, we are constantly bombarded with information, technology, and noise. We are conditioned to seek out distractions to fill the gaps in our lives. But when we can embrace stillness and silence, we can reconnect with our true selves and experience a deeper sense of fulfillment. The present moment holds infinite possibilities, but only if we are willing to slow down and be fully present with it. The beauty of the present moment is that it is always available. No matter where we are or what we are doing, the present moment is right here, right now. We don't have to search for it or achieve anything to experience it. It is as simple as breathing, as simple as paying attention to the sensations in our body or the sounds around us. The more we practice living in the present, the more we realize how much we've been missing by living in the past or future. Living in the present moment also allows us to cultivate gratitude. When we are fully present, we begin to appreciate the small details of life that we might have otherwise overlooked. We notice the beauty in nature, the kindness in others, and the joy in everyday moments. Gratitude arises naturally when we stop taking life for granted and start appreciating everything that is happening in the here and now. In times of difficulty, living in the present moment helps us navigate challenges with grace and resilience. Instead of getting overwhelmed by the magnitude of a problem or worrying about what might happen next, we focus on what we can control in the present. We take things one step at a time, dealing with each moment as it comes. This approach reduces stress and gives us a sense of empowerment, knowing that we are capable of handling whatever life presents us with in the present. Living in the present moment does not mean ignoring the past or disregarding the future. It means acknowledging that the past is over and the future is uncertain, and that the only time we have control over is right now. The present moment is where we can make a difference. It is where we can choose our thoughts, our actions, and our responses. The more we live in the present, the more we realize that this is where our true power lies. Ultimately, living in the present moment is an act of surrender. It is the surrender of our need to control, our need to judge, and our need to constantly plan. When we surrender to the present moment, we allow life to unfold naturally. We stop fighting against reality and begin to flow with it. This surrender creates a deep sense of peace as we trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. The present moment is where life is happening. This is where we find our peace, our joy, and our true self. One of the fundamental truths of life is that everything is temporary. Every moment, every experience, every relationship, every object, it is all in a constant state of flux. This reality of impermanence can be unsettling as our minds crave stability and permanence. We build attachments to people, places, and things, and when these things change or disappear, we often experience pain and loss. Yet, impermanence is not something to fear or resist. It is the very nature of existence. By embracing it, we can learn to live more fully and authentically. The idea of impermanence teaches us that everything is in constant movement. The seasons change, our bodies age, relationships evolve, and even our thoughts and emotions are transient. The sooner we recognize and accept that nothing lasts forever, the sooner we can let go of the attachment to outcomes, expectations, and security. When we do this, we free ourselves from the suffering that comes from trying to hold on to things that are inherently fleeting. Impermanence invites us to be present with what is, rather than clinging to what was or what we wish would be. It reminds us that nothing is permanent, and therefore we must savor each moment for its unique beauty. We often get caught up in the idea that we need to control or possess things to make them meaningful, but impermanence teaches us that true meaning comes from our experience of the moment, not from our attempt to hold on to it. When we embrace impermanence, we learn to appreciate life in a deeper way. We no longer take things for granted, as we recognize that everything, no matter how wonderful or painful, is part of a cycle of change. This understanding of impermanence encourages us to let go of attachments and to focus on the present moment, knowing that it will soon pass. By doing so, we create space for new experiences, growth, and transformation. Life becomes less about resisting change and more about flowing with it. Our attachment to permanence often leads to fear and anxiety. We fear losing loved ones, our health, our possessions, or our achievements. Yet these things were never meant to stay forever. When we resist the natural flow of life, we only create suffering for ourselves. By accepting impermanence, we release the fear that comes from trying to hold on to things that are bound to change. We come to understand that everything is a gift in its temporary form, and that we can find joy in the experience of it, rather than in its permanence. The teachings of impermanence can also bring us peace in times of hardship. When we are faced with pain or loss, we can remind ourselves that this too shall pass. The storm may be raging now, but eventually it will subside. By accepting the impermanent nature of suffering, we learn to approach difficult emotions with more grace and less resistance. We allow ourselves to grieve, to feel the pain, but we don't hold on to it. We trust that it is part of the cycle of life, and that the pain will eventually give way to healing. Impermanence also teaches us the value of living with intention. When we recognize that life is fleeting, we become more mindful of how we spend our time and energy. We realize that each moment is precious, and that we should not waste it on things that don't truly matter. This understanding can inspire us to live more authentically, to prioritize what is truly important, and to pursue our passions and dreams without delay. The awareness of impermanence brings clarity to our lives, helping us to focus on what truly enriches our existence. This principle also encourages us to let go of attachments to the past. Many of us cling to old memories, regretful experiences, or past identities, believing they define who we are. But just as the present moment is constantly changing, so too is our sense of self. Embracing impermanence allows us to release the past and step into the fullness of who we are becoming. It helps us realize that we are not defined by our past mistakes or successes. We are defined by our ability to evolve and transform in the present moment. The realization of impermanence can also inspire us to live with a sense of urgency, not in a frantic or anxious way, but in a way that encourages us to live fully, to pursue what brings us joy and meaning, and to cherish the time we have. We are reminded that time is finite, and that we are not promised tomorrow. This awareness does not have to cause stress. Rather, it can motivate us to make the most of each moment, to act with purpose, and to appreciate the beauty of life as it is unfolding. In the context of our relationships, impermanence teaches us to love more freely. When we recognize that nothing lasts forever, we stop taking people for granted. We stop holding on to grudges or expecting perfection. Instead, we allow ourselves to experience love more deeply, knowing that each moment we share with others is precious. We also learn to let go when it's time, accepting that some relationships are meant to be temporary. By doing so, we open ourselves to new connections and experiences. Ultimately, embracing impermanence is a way of embracing life itself. It is a reminder that nothing is fixed, that everything is in constant motion, and that we are part of this ever-changing dance. Instead of resisting or fearing change, we learn to flow with it, knowing that each moment, each experience, and each relationship is a gift, however brief. In doing so, we can live with greater freedom, peace, and joy, appreciating the beauty of life's impermanence and all that it brings. Acceptance is one of the most transformative principles in spiritual growth. To To truly accept what it means to surrender to the present moment, to let go of the resistance that often comes from our expectations, judgments, and desires. It is not about passivity or resignation, but rather about embracing reality exactly as it is, without trying to control or change it. When we practice acceptance, we free ourselves from the struggle that comes with wanting things to be different, and, in doing so, we find peace. Acceptance of what is requires a deep trust in life itself. It asks us to release the need for certainty and security, and to embrace the unknown. Life is unpredictable, and we can never fully control the outcomes of our actions. Yet when we accept this uncertainty, we are no longer burdened by the weight of trying to control every detail. We begin to trust that life will unfold in the way that it needs to, and that we are exactly where we are supposed to be. This trust allows us to let go of the anxiety and fear that often comes from trying to anticipate or manipulate the future. When we truly accept what is, we stop fighting against ourselves and our circumstances. We stop resisting the flow of life, whether that means accepting difficult emotions, unexpected challenges, or the impermanence of all things. By embracing the present moment, we can begin to find peace even in the most difficult situations. Acceptance does not mean approval or complacency, but rather the recognition that what is happening right now is part of the larger picture of our growth and evolution. Every experience, no matter how challenging, has something to teach us. In the face of adversity, acceptance allows us to move through difficulties with more grace. When we resist pain, loss, or hardship, we often create more suffering for ourselves. But when we accept these experiences as part of the ebb and flow of life, we learn to navigate them with greater ease. This does not mean we don't feel pain or sorrow, but that we no longer struggle against it. We allow ourselves to experience it fully, knowing that it too will pass. Acceptance also involves letting go of our attachments to specific outcomes. Often we struggle because we have an image in our minds of how things should be. We set expectations for ourselves, for others, and for life in general. When things don't meet our expectations, we become disappointed or frustrated. But acceptance teaches us to release these attachments and to surrender to what is. It asks us to embrace the unknown, trusting that life will bring us exactly what we need, even if it looks different from what we imagined. This principle is also about releasing the need for perfection. We often hold ourselves to impossible standards, believing that we must be flawless or achieve certain results in order to be worthy or successful. But acceptance reminds us that perfection is an illusion. It encourages us to embrace our imperfections, to acknowledge our mistakes and limitations without judgment, and to see them as part of our unique journey. When we accept ourselves as we are, we allow room for growth and self-compassion. In our relationships, acceptance plays a vital role. It teaches us to accept others as they are, without trying to change them or impose our expectations upon them. It encourages us to appreciate the uniqueness of each person and to honor their individual path. Acceptance in relationships also involves letting go of the need to control others or to seek validation from them. We stop trying to make others fit into our idea of who they should be and instead allow them the freedom to be themselves. Acceptance of what is also helps us to stop comparing ourselves to others. In a world where we are constantly bombarded with images of success, beauty, and achievement, it can be easy to fall into the trap of comparison. But when we practice acceptance, we recognize that each person's journey is unique. We embrace who we are, exactly as we are, and we stop measuring our worth against the achievements or appearances of others. This acceptance brings a sense of peace and freedom, as we no longer feel the need to prove ourselves or compete with others. Moreover, acceptance brings us into alignment with the present moment. The more we accept what is, the more we are able to fully experience each moment without distraction or resistance. We stop living in the past or the future and begin to focus on the here and now. This brings clarity and presence to our lives, allowing us to respond to life's challenges with calmness and clarity, rather than reaction and judgment. By practicing acceptance, we also cultivate a deep sense of gratitude. When we stop resisting what is, we begin to appreciate the gifts of the present moment. We recognize that every situation, no matter how challenging, has something valuable to offer. Whether it's the lessons we learn, the strength we gain, or the beauty that exists in unexpected places, acceptance allows us to see life as it truly is. Impermanent, unpredictable, and yet full of opportunity. In terms of self-compassion, acceptance encourages us to be kinder to ourselves. We are often our harshest critics, constantly judging ourselves for our mistakes or perceived shortcomings. But when we accept ourselves as we are, with all our flaws and imperfections, we create space for self-love and growth. We recognize that we are worthy not because of what we achieve, but because of who we are in this very moment. Acceptance is also about letting go of the need to be in control. The more we try to control our lives, the more we resist the natural flow of events. When we surrender to what is, we allow life to unfold as it should, without forcing or manipulating outcomes. This does not mean that we don't take action or set goals. It simply means that we let go of the need to control every detail and trust that the universe has a greater plan for us. Ultimately, acceptance is a practice of surrender and trust. It is the art of letting go of the need for control, of releasing our attachments to specific outcomes, and of embracing life as it is. When we practice acceptance, we free ourselves from the inner turmoil that comes from resisting the present moment. We open ourselves to the flow of life, allowing it to guide us with grace and ease. Through acceptance, we find peace, freedom, and the ability to fully experience life without resistance. Non-attachment is a deeply transformative principle that has the power to radically change how we experience life. It's not about being indifferent or detached from life's experiences. It's about releasing our clinging to them. Attachment comes from our fear of loss, our need to control, and our desire to possess what we think will bring us happiness. Yet, non-attachment teaches us that true peace and happiness come not from holding on, but from letting go. To practice non-attachment, we must first recognize how much we are attached to things, people, and even outcomes. We often find ourselves clinging to relationships, possessions, and achievements, believing that our worth and happiness depend on them. However, this creates a cycle of dependency, where we are constantly seeking external sources of validation and security. Non-attachment encourages us to shift our focus from external possessions to internal peace. It teaches us that we are enough as we are, and that our sense of fulfillment comes from within, not from anything outside of us. Non-attachment does not mean that we do not care or love deeply. It means that we do not rely on others, things, or achievements for our sense of self-worth. It allows us to experience life fully, without the burden of needing to control or hold on to every moment. When we practice non-attachment, we become free from the fear of losing what we have, and we embrace life with an open heart, knowing that all things are temporary and ever-changing. Life flows, and we must learn to flow with it, without resistance or fear of loss. One of the most profound aspects of non-attachment is its relationship with impermanence. Everything in life is constantly changing. The people we love, the things we cherish, and even our own bodies are in a state of flux. Non-attachment allows us to accept this truth and to let go of our fear of losing what is important to us. We recognize that change is a natural part of life, and rather than clinging to the illusion of permanence, we begin to embrace the beauty and freedom that comes with embracing the transient nature of existence. When we practice non-attachment, we become more present in the moment. Our focus shifts from the past and the future, which we cannot control, to the here and now. We stop worrying about what we might lose or what we have yet to achieve, and instead, we engage fully in the experience of life as it unfolds. This presence brings us peace, as we are no longer distracted by the fear of losing what we have or the anxiety of what's yet to come. Non-attachment also plays a key role in our relationships. When we are attached to others, we may become possessive, controlling, or overly dependent. We may expect others to fulfill our emotional needs or to behave in ways that satisfy our expectations. However, non-attachment allows us to love freely without needing to possess or control. It teaches us to appreciate others for who they are. Rather than trying to make them into something we want them to be, we stop projecting our expectations onto them and allow them to live their own lives, free from the weight of our desires. Non-attachment can also transform our relationship with success and failure. When we become attached to outcomes, we create a constant sense of pressure and stress. We tie our self-worth to our achievements, and when things don't go as planned, we feel defeated or disillusioned. However, non-attachment allows us to approach success and failure with equanimity. We recognize that both are fleeting and that our value is not dependent on what we accomplish or fail to accomplish. We learn to celebrate the journey, not just the destination, and we are able to release the need for validation through external markers of success. A significant part of non-attachment is letting go of our attachment to the idea of control. We often try to control our environment, our relationships, and even our own emotions, but the more we try to control, the more we create tension and resistance in our lives. Non-attachment asks us to release the illusion of control and to trust that life will unfold as it is meant to. This trust brings peace as we stop trying to micromanage every aspect of our existence and instead allow ourselves to be guided by the natural flow of life. It is important to note that non-attachment is not about detaching from life altogether or becoming emotionally distant. It's about finding balance. We can love deeply and fully while simultaneously understanding that everything in life is temporary and that our happiness does not depend on holding on to anything. Non-attachment frees us from the need to possess or control and allows us to live with an open heart, free from fear or grasping. In the pursuit of spiritual growth, non-attachment is often seen as a necessary step toward liberation. The more we are attached to worldly things, the more we are bound by the cycles of desire and suffering. When we let go of attachment, we begin to experience true freedom. We no longer rely on external things for our happiness, and we start to find contentment in simply being. We release the need for validation, the need to have more, and the need to control. We begin to live in harmony with the world around us, embracing each moment with an open heart and mind. By practicing non-attachment, we also learn to trust in the process of life. We let go of our desire to know the future or to dictate the course of events. Instead, we surrender to life's unfolding, knowing that it will bring us exactly what we need at each step. This trust allows us to live with ease and grace, as we no longer struggle against the current, but instead flow with it, ultimately Non-attachment leads us to a state of peace and contentment. We no longer feel the need to grasp for more, to chase after fleeting desires, or to control every aspect of our lives. Instead, we experience life as it is, beautiful, unpredictable, and ever-changing, and we embrace it with an open heart and a sense of deep gratitude. By letting go of attachment, we free ourselves from the limitations of desire and fear, and we step into the freedom that comes with living fully in the present moment. The power of now is the understanding that true peace and fulfillment are only found in the present moment. Too often, we are consumed by thoughts of the past or anxieties about the future, leaving little room to experience life as it unfolds right in front of us. The past, with all its regrets and memories, can tie us down, while the future, with all its uncertainty and anticipation, can cause us to live in a state of constant worry. The present, however, is where life is truly happening. It's where we can find peace, clarity, and joy. In the busy chaos of daily life, it's easy to get caught up in the endless cycle of doing. We are always thinking about what's next, what we need to accomplish, and what has already happened. But this constant stream of thoughts pulls us away from the present moment. It's in the present where we are most aligned with our true selves. It's where we can experience life in its fullness. The past is gone, and the future hasn't arrived yet. But the present is always here, right now. The power of now lies in its simplicity. When we allow ourselves to be fully present, we connect with life in its purest form. We stop analyzing, judging, or trying to control what's happening. Instead, we embrace the experience of the moment, letting it unfold without resistance. This mindfulness allows us to live with a sense of clarity and purpose. It helps us to tune in to what's important, rather than getting lost in distractions. Being present is not just about focusing on what's happening around us. It's also about tuning into our inner state. Often, we're unaware of the thoughts, emotions, and beliefs that drive our actions and reactions. When we are present, we become more aware of our inner world, and this awareness allows us to make conscious choices rather than acting on autopilot. We can observe our thoughts without getting caught up in them, recognizing that they do not define us. By practicing presence, we free ourselves from the constant pressure of doing and allow ourselves to simply be. We stop measuring our worth by what we've accomplished or what we have yet to do. Instead, we find fulfillment in the experience of being, in the moment itself. This brings us a deep sense of contentment because we realize that life is not about achieving or acquiring, but about experiencing and embracing each moment with gratitude. One of the greatest obstacles to living in the present moment is the mind's tendency to wander. Our thoughts often pull us away from what's right in front of us. We may find ourselves reminiscing about the past or projecting fears and hopes for the future. But the moment we catch ourselves doing this, we have the power to redirect our attention back to the present. It's a practice of awareness, of noticing when our mind has wandered and gently guiding it back to the here and now. When we are fully present, we can experience life with a sense of wonder and awe. Every moment becomes an opportunity for discovery. The simple things, like the feel of the wind on our skin or the taste of our food, become rich and vibrant experiences. We realize that life is not something that happens to us, but something that we participate in, moment by moment. This awareness deepens our connection to the world around us and to the people we interact with. We stop rushing through life, and instead, we begin to savor each moment. Living in the now also helps us to find peace in the midst of chaos. The world can often feel overwhelming, with constant distractions, obligations, and challenges. But when we ground ourselves in the present moment, we find that we have more control over how we respond. Rather than reacting from a place of fear or stress, we can choose how to respond with calm, clarity, and intention. The practice of being present also deepens our sense of gratitude. When we focus on the here and now, we realize that we have so much to be thankful for. We begin to notice the beauty in the world around us, the love and support of those we care about, and the small joys that we might otherwise overlook. Gratitude is born in the present moment, and it's in this space where we can truly appreciate all that we have. Another profound benefit of embracing the present moment is the freedom it offers. When we are not consumed by the past or the future, we are free to create our lives as we desire. We no longer feel bound by our history or limited by our fears of what may come. We realize that the present is all we truly have, and in it, we have the power to shape our experience. This freedom allows us to act with purpose, knowing that our thoughts, emotions, and actions in the present moment are what create our future. The power of now is also closely linked to the concept of mindfulness. Mindfulness is the practice of paying full attention to the present moment with an attitude of acceptance and non-judgment. It is the art of fully engaging in whatever we are doing, whether it's eating, walking, or having a conversation. By being mindful, we cultivate an awareness that brings us into alignment with the present, where life unfolds with clarity and grace. Being present doesn't require us to make big changes in our lives. It simply requires a shift in perspective. We don't have to be somewhere else or someone else to find happiness and peace. We don't have to wait for the right circumstances or the perfect moment. The power of now teaches us that peace is available to us at any time, in any situation, simply by being present. When we stop living in the past or future, we discover that the present moment is enough. It is all we need. And in this moment, we can experience the fullness of life, free from regret, free from anxiety, and free from the pressure of constantly needing to do more. The present moment holds all the potential we need to create a life of peace, joy, and fulfillment. And it is always available to us, waiting for us to step into it fully. By embracing the power of now, we begin to unlock the transformative potential of each moment. We experience life more vividly, more fully, and with greater clarity. We become more attuned to ourselves and to the world around us. And most importantly, we realize that everything we seek, peace, happiness, love, and fulfillment, is already available to us in the here and now. Compassion and empathy are foundational to living a spiritually fulfilling life. These qualities allow us to connect with others on a deep human level, and they open our hearts to the suffering and struggles of those around us. Compassion is the ability to feel concern for the well-being of others, while empathy is the ability to truly understand and share in their feelings. Together, they form a powerful force that enables us to act with kindness and understanding in a world that often feels disconnected and divided. In many ways, compassion and empathy are a reflection of our own self-awareness. When we understand our own pain and challenges, we are more able to understand the pain and challenges of others. We recognize that we are all connected through our shared humanity. This realization creates a sense of solidarity with those who are suffering, and it encourages us to take action, not just in words, but in tangible ways that help alleviate their suffering. One of the most profound aspects of compassion is its ability to heal not only the people we show compassion to, but also ourselves. When we act with kindness and understanding, we experience a deep sense of fulfillment. It's as though our own hearts expand and grow when we offer love and care to others. Compassion is not just an outward expression, but an inward one as well. It nourishes our souls and creates a sense of purpose in our lives. Empathy, too, plays a crucial role in deepening our connection to others. It allows us to truly listen to someone without judgment or preconceived notions. We are able to put ourselves in their shoes, to understand their struggles and their joys, without making assumptions or offering quick solutions. Through empathy, we learn to be present with others in their pain and their joy, without trying to fix or change their experiences. It's important to note that compassion and empathy do not require us to carry the weight of others' suffering. We can offer our support and understanding without becoming overwhelmed by the pain we witness. Boundaries are essential in this process, as we need to take care of ourselves as well. The act of compassion doesn't mean we must sacrifice our own well-being or take on the burdens of others. Rather, it means offering love, support, and understanding in a way that is balanced and healthy for both parties. At times, it may feel challenging to show compassion, especially when we encounter people who are difficult to understand, or when we face situations that seem too overwhelming. But it's important to remember that compassion is not about agreeing with someone's actions or beliefs. It's about recognizing their humanity. Even in moments of disagreement or conflict, we can approach others with empathy, seeking to understand their point of view and responding with kindness rather than judgment or anger. When we cultivate compassion and empathy, we begin to create a ripple effect that extends beyond our immediate circle. Our actions influence the way others behave, and we inspire them to act with kindness and understanding as well. Compassion is contagious. When we show it, others are more likely to do the same. This ripple effect creates a chain of positivity and connection, making the world a better place, one act of kindness at a time. In our interconnected world, compassion and empathy are more important than ever. We live in a time where many people are suffering, emotionally, mentally, and physically. Whether it's someone struggling with a personal issue, a community facing social injustice, or a nation going through hardship, compassion allows us to be present with others, to help them bear their burdens, and to lift them up in their time of need. It's a reminder that we are not isolated beings, but part of a greater whole. Practicing compassion and empathy also allows us to experience deeper relationships. When we are able to truly listen to others and understand their experiences, we build stronger connections based on trust and respect. These relationships are more meaningful because they are grounded in the genuine care and understanding that we offer to one another. In these relationships, we find support, healing, and growth. Another profound aspect of compassion is its ability to transcend judgment. When we practice empathy, we begin to let go of the need to label or categorize people based on their actions or circumstances. Instead, we approach them with an open heart, understanding that everyone is on their own unique journey. We begin to see people not for their flaws or mistakes, but as complex, multidimensional beings who are worthy of love and understanding. In times of suffering or hardship, compassion allows us to remember that we are not alone. It reminds us that others care, that others are willing to stand by us in our darkest moments. Similarly, when we offer compassion to others, we create a sense of solidarity, reminding them that they are not alone in their struggles. This mutual support creates an environment where healing, growth, and transformation can take place. Compassion also encourages us to show ourselves kindness and understanding. It's easy to be hard on ourselves when we make mistakes or fall short of our expectations. But just as we would show compassion to others in their time of need, we must extend that same care to ourselves. Self-compassion is essential to healing and growth, as it allows us to accept our imperfections and embrace ourselves with love and understanding. The practice of compassion and empathy ultimately teaches us that love is the most powerful force in the universe. It is through love that we connect with others, heal ourselves, and create a better world. Compassion is not limited to any one person or group. It is an energy that flows freely, bringing us together, regardless of our differences. And it's through the practice of compassion that we begin to experience true unity with all beings, a unity that transcends the boundaries of time, space, and circumstance. By embracing compassion and empathy, we transform not only ourselves, but also the world around us. We become instruments of peace, healing, and love. And in doing so, we create a ripple effect that can change the world, one small act of kindness at a time. Letting go of attachment is one of the most powerful spiritual practices we can adopt. Attachment, whether to people, things, or outcomes, creates a sense of dependence that often leads to suffering. We hold on tightly to things, fearing that without them we will lose a part of ourselves. But true peace and freedom come from releasing our grip on these attachments and learning to flow with life as it is rather than trying to control it. Attachment arises from a deep sense of fear and insecurity. When we become attached to something or someone, we invest a large part of our identity in them. We believe that without that person, thing, or experience, we will lose our sense of self, or that we won't be able to find happiness. This belief creates a kind of internal turbulence, where we feel constantly anxious and afraid of losing what we hold dear. But when we allow ourselves to detach, we release that fear, and we make space for deeper, more lasting joy. To let go of attachment, we must first acknowledge that everything is impermanent. Nothing in life stays the same forever. People come and go, possessions break or fade, and circumstances change. Life is in a constant state of flux. And by resisting this, we only create unnecessary pain for ourselves. True wisdom lies in understanding that we cannot control or hold on to anything forever. By accepting impermanence, we free ourselves from the need to possess or cling to anything. We learn to appreciate things for what they are, without the fear of losing them. This doesn't mean we stop loving or caring about people and things. Rather, it means that we love and care without attaching our happiness to them. We can enjoy a relationship, for example, without relying on it to define our worth. We can appreciate a beautiful object without believing that it is the key to our happiness. When we let go of the need to possess, we find that we are able to enjoy life more fully, because we are no longer burdened by the weight of attachment. Attachment also manifests in our attachment to outcomes. Often, we set goals and create expectations about how things should unfold. We work hard and invest ourselves emotionally in the belief that things will turn out a certain way. But life doesn't always follow the path we envision. When we are attached to a specific outcome, we become disappointed, frustrated, or even angry when things don't go as planned. We may feel like failures or like we are being punished by life. But the truth is, life has its own rhythm and we cannot control every detail. By letting go of attachment to specific outcomes, we open ourselves to the flow of life and we begin to trust that whatever happens is for our highest good. One of the most liberating aspects of letting go of attachment is that it allows us to be present. When we are not constantly grasping for something or someone, we are free to experience life as it is, in this moment. we are able to appreciate the beauty of life without worrying about what might come next. This sense of presence is where true peace is found. It's in the quiet acceptance of life as it unfolds that we discover a sense of freedom and peace that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. Letting go of attachment also allows us to stop defining ourselves by what we have or what we've achieved. We no longer need to prove our worth through material possessions or accomplishments. Our value is not tied to external factors. It is inherent within us. We are enough just as we are, without needing to accumulate or possess anything to feel whole. This realization is a key to spiritual liberation. When we release our attachments, we are free to be our true selves, without the burden of comparison or competition. Sometimes, letting go of attachment can be painful. We may fear losing people we love or parting with things that hold sentimental value. But the process of letting go is not about rejecting or dismissing what we love. It's about recognizing that we don't need to hold on to them to be happy or complete. True love is not possessive. It is free and unconditional. By releasing our attachment, we allow space for love to flow freely, unburdened by expectation or fear. One of the most profound teachings of letting go of attachment is that it allows us to experience life with a sense of gratitude. When we stop taking things for granted and stop expecting them to last forever, we begin to appreciate them more deeply. We savor the moments we have, knowing that they are fleeting. The people we love, the things we enjoy, the experiences we have, they are all precious because they are impermanent. By letting go of attachment, we develop a deeper sense of gratitude for everything that comes into our lives. In the end, letting go of attachment is an act of surrender to the flow of life. It is about trusting that we don't need to control every aspect of our existence. We can let go of the need to grasp, to hold on, and to demand things go our way. When we release attachment, we are free to experience life with openness, peace, and joy. It is in this freedom that we find true happiness, not in what we have or what we achieve, but in the simple act of letting go and allowing life to unfold naturally. As we practice letting go of attachment, we gradually develop a deeper sense of peace and inner strength. We no longer depend on external circumstances to determine our happiness. Instead, we find our peace in the present moment, in the acceptance of life as it is, without the need to hold on to anything. Through this practice, we discover the truth. That true freedom comes from releasing, not holding on. And in letting go, we find that life becomes richer, more meaningful, and infinitely more beautiful. Compassion and loving kindness are at the heart of spiritual practice. They are not just qualities we express towards others. They are attitudes that transform the way we experience life. True compassion goes beyond sympathy or pity. It is the deep understanding of another's pain and the willingness to share in it without judgment or expectation. It is a selfless, unconditional love that seeks only to ease the suffering of others and bring about healing. At its core, compassion is the recognition that we are all connected. When we understand that everyone experiences pain and suffering, we begin to see others not as separate beings, but as fellow travelers on the journey of life. We realize that their struggles are not so different from our own. Compassion arises from this recognition as we begin to open our hearts to the suffering of others without trying to fix, change, or judge. We simply offer a space of acceptance, love, and understanding. Loving kindness, or metta, is the natural extension of compassion. It is the active expression of goodwill, kindness and love toward all beings. It is the wish for the happiness and well-being of others, regardless of their situation or our personal feelings toward them. Loving kindness is not based on what others can do for us or how they make us feel. It is a love that flows freely and unconditionally, extending to all beings, including ourselves. The practice of compassion and loving kindness begins with ourselves. In order to truly love and care for others, we must first learn to love and care for ourselves. This doesn't mean indulging in self-centeredness or selfishness, but rather recognizing our own inherent worth and treating ourselves with the same kindness and respect that we wish to offer to others. When we practice self-compassion, we stop being harsh or critical with ourselves. We acknowledge our flaws and mistakes without judgment, and we treat ourselves with the gentleness and understanding we would offer a dear friend. As we cultivate compassion and loving kindness for ourselves, we naturally begin to extend these qualities to others. We stop seeing people as obstacles, threats, or competitors, and instead, we see them as fellow beings who are just as deserving of love and understanding as we are. This shift in perspective allows us to treat others with more patience, empathy, and respect. It enables us to forgive others for their shortcomings and to offer help or comfort without expecting anything in return. When we act with compassion, we create a space for others to heal, grow, and thrive. Compassion also teaches us to be present with others in their pain. It is easy to want to fix or solve the problems of those we care about, but true compassion involves simply being there, holding space for them, and offering love without the need for solutions. Sometimes, the greatest gift we can offer is our presence, sitting with someone in their suffering, allowing them to feel heard, understood, and supported. One of the most powerful aspects of compassion and loving kindness is that it is a transformative force. When we show kindness to others, we not only help alleviate their suffering, but we also heal ourselves. Compassion creates a ripple effect. When we give love, we receive love. When we act with kindness, we cultivate more of the same energy within ourselves. It's a reminder that when we offer our hearts to others, we are not depleting ourselves, but enriching our own lives. This principle is particularly important in the face of conflict or difficulty. When we encounter people who are difficult, angry, or unkind, it can be easy to respond with frustration or resentment. But if we can approach them with compassion and loving kindness, we break the cycle of negativity. Rather than reacting to their pain with our own, we create a space for healing. We remember that their actions often stem from their own suffering, and we can choose to respond with empathy rather than retaliation. Loving kindness is also a practice that helps us release judgment. It teaches us to see others not for their mistakes or shortcomings, but for their inherent worth as human beings. We begin to look beyond the surface of their behavior and recognize their pain, their hopes, and their humanity. When we can love others in this way, we no longer feel the need to judge or criticize. Instead, we choose to accept them as they are, offering love and understanding instead of condemnation. As we continue to develop compassion and loving kindness, we start to experience a deep sense of peace within ourselves. We realize that we don't need to change the world or fix everyone's problems. We don't need to control or manipulate situations. All we need to do is offer love and kindness, and in doing so, we create a more harmonious and peaceful world. Compassion becomes not just a practice, but a way of life, a lens through which we see and interact with the world. This principle also teaches us that the most important act of compassion is often toward those who are hardest to love, ourselves. We tend to be our own harshest critics, constantly judging ourselves for our perceived flaws and mistakes. But to embody true compassion, we must learn to offer ourselves the same love and kindness we extend to others. This means forgiving ourselves for past mistakes, letting go of self-judgment, and treating ourselves with patience and gentleness. The beauty of compassion and loving kindness is that it is limitless. There is no end to how much love we can give, or how many people we can touch with kindness. Every act of compassion, no matter how small, ripples out into the world, creating more love and understanding. It is an energy that grows with every thought, word, and action. And as we practice it more deeply, we become not just a source of healing for others, but also for ourselves. Ultimately, the practice of compassion and loving kindness is a spiritual journey that brings us closer to our true nature. It reminds us of our shared humanity, our interconnectedness, and the power of love to transform the world. As we continue to embody these qualities, we become a living expression of the divine, love that exists within all of us, and we invite that love to flow freely through us and into the world. Detachment and non-attachment are two of the most misunderstood concepts in spiritual practice. They are often perceived as indifference, apathy, or a lack of care for the world around us. In reality, detachment is not about disengaging from life or becoming emotionally numb. Instead, it is the practice of releasing our attachment to outcomes, possessions, people, and even our own identities. It is a recognition that our true nature is not tied to anything external, and that true freedom comes from letting go of our need to control or possess. When we are attached to something, whether it's a person, a goal, a belief, or a material object, we become entangled in it. Our sense of self becomes wrapped up in what we possess or achieve, and our happiness depends on maintaining those attachments. This creates a cycle of desire, fear, and suffering. The more we cling to something, the more it controls us. Detachment, then, is the practice of releasing our grip on the things we hold dear. Not because we don't care about them, but because we recognize that our true peace comes from within, not from the outside world. Non-attachment does not mean that we stop caring or loving. In fact, it is quite the opposite. When we are attached to something or someone, we may begin to act out of fear, insecurity, or control. We may feel anxious or upset when things don't go as planned, or when we fear losing what we cherish. But when we practice non-attachment, we approach life with an open heart, free from the need to control or possess. We can love deeply without holding on too tightly, and we can give without expecting anything in return. Non-attachment allows us to experience life fully, without being burdened by the weight of our desires or the fear of losing what we hold dear. The practice of detachment is closely tied to the understanding that everything is impermanent. All things in the material world are temporary. Our bodies, our possessions, our relationships, and even our thoughts and emotions. The more we try to hold on to things, the more we suffer, because we are resisting the natural flow of life. When we accept the impermanence of all things, we can release our attachment to them and embrace the fluidity of existence. We no longer need to control or cling to anything, because we understand that everything comes and goes in its own time. One of the most profound ways to practice detachment is by cultivating a sense of inner peace and contentment that is independent of external circumstances. When we rely on external things, whether it's success, approval, or possessions, for our happiness, we are constantly at the mercy of the world around us. Our mood, our sense of worth, and our happiness fluctuate based on what happens to us. But when we cultivate inner peace, we find that our happiness is no longer dependent on external factors. We learn to be content with what we have, to be at peace with what is, and to trust that everything we need is already within us. Non-attachment also frees us from the grip of ego. The ego thrives on attachment. It seeks to define itself through what it possesses, what it achieves, and what others think of it. But when we practice detachment, we begin to let go of our attachment to our egoic identity. We stop identifying ourselves with our accomplishments, our status, or our role in society. Instead, we recognize that our true essence is beyond all of these things. We are not our job, our possessions, or our reputation. We are something far deeper, something eternal and unchanging. Another powerful aspect of detachment is the freedom it gives us to fully engage with life in the present moment. When we are attached to the future, we are constantly worried about what is to come. We are anxious about what might happen or what we might lose. When we are attached to the past, we are trapped in memories, regrets, or nostalgia. But detachment allows us to release both the past and the future, and to fully embrace the present moment. We can experience life as it is, without the need to control it, or make it fit into our preconceived ideas or desires. In the present moment, we find true freedom. Detachment also helps us navigate relationships in a healthier, more balanced way. When we are attached to someone, we may begin to place unrealistic expectations on them. We may expect them to fulfill our emotional needs, to behave in ways that make us happy, or to stay in our lives forever. But when we practice non-attachment, we approach relationships with love, acceptance, and respect, without the need to control or possess. We love others without trying to change them, and we appreciate them for who they are, not for what they can do for us. This allows relationships to flow naturally and harmoniously without the tension or pressure that attachment creates. Non-attachment also leads to a deeper sense of surrender and trust. We learn to trust that everything happens for a reason, even when we don't understand it. We trust that life is unfolding exactly as it is meant to, and that we are exactly where we need to be. This trust allows us to let go of the need to control every aspect of our lives and to embrace the uncertainty and mystery of existence. When we surrender to life, we find that it becomes easier to navigate challenges, to make decisions, and to move forward with grace and ease. The practice of detachment does not mean that we stop caring about the world or that we become passive. Rather, it is about caring without attachment. It is about being engaged with life without being ruled by it. We can still work hard, strive for our goals, and pursue our passions, but we do so without the desperate need for outcomes or the fear of failure. We act with intention and purpose, but we release the attachment to the results. This allows us to experience the journey without being burdened by the weight of expectations. In essence, detachment is the key to living a life of freedom and peace. It allows us to be fully present in each moment, to let go of the need to control or possess, and to embrace life as it is. When we practice non-attachment, we are not rejecting the world. We are simply recognizing that our true happiness and peace come from within. We no longer need to cling to external things for validation or fulfillment. We can enjoy life for what it is, without the fear of losing it or the attachment to how we think it should be. Detachment is the path to true freedom. The freedom to live, love, and be without the constraints of attachment. The power of presence is one of the most transformative forces in our lives. In a world that constantly pulls our attention in different directions, it is easy to lose sight of the present moment. We are often caught up in the past, replaying memories, or regretting decisions. At the same time, we anxiously anticipate the future, worrying about what might happen or what we still need to accomplish. But true power lies in the present moment. When we are fully present, we are not bound by time or circumstance. We are free to experience life as it unfolds, with all of its richness and depth. Being present means engaging with the world around us without distraction or judgment. It is the art of letting go of our mental chatter, our worries, and our plans, and simply experiencing what is. When we are truly present, we become aware of the subtleties of life, the texture of the air, the sounds in the background, the emotions within us. We notice things we might otherwise overlook because our minds are not preoccupied with the past or future. In this way, presence heightens our senses and allows us to connect more deeply with the world around us. The practice of presence is closely related to mindfulness. Mindfulness is the ability to pay attention to the present moment with full awareness, without judgment. It is about accepting things as they are, without trying to change them. This acceptance is crucial because it allows us to experience life without resistance. When we resist the present moment, when we fight against what is, we create tension, stress, and suffering. But when we embrace the present as it is, we find peace and clarity. Presence is a way of surrendering to life, of letting go of our need to control or manipulate it. It is the practice of being fully alive in the here and now. Being present also allows us to cultivate a deeper connection with ourselves. When we are constantly distracted by our thoughts, our plans, or our worries, we lose touch with our true nature. We become disconnected from the core of who we are. But when we make space for presence, we create an opportunity for self-reflection and self-awareness. We can listen to our inner voice, observe our emotions, and connect with our deeper desires and truths. In this way, presence helps us align with our authentic selves, without the noise of external expectations or distractions. One of the most powerful aspects of presence is its ability to dissolve anxiety and stress. Anxiety often arises when we are either living in the past or projecting ourselves into the future. We worry about things that have already happened or things that may never happen. But when we are fully present, we realize that the past is gone and the future is yet to come. The only moment we have is now. When we focus on the present, we can let go of our worries and anxieties because we recognize that they are rooted in illusion. The present moment is always enough. It is the only moment that is real. Presence also enhances our relationships. When we are fully present with others, we are able to listen deeply and respond authentically. We are not distracted by our phones, our thoughts, or our judgments. Instead, we give our full attention to the person in front of us, which creates a deeper connection. This level of presence allows for meaningful conversations, empathy, and understanding. It also allows us to be fully present for the people we love, offering them the gift of our undivided attention. In a world full of distractions, this is one of the most precious gifts we can give to others. Another benefit of presence is its ability to increase our productivity and creativity. When we are present, we are fully engaged with the task at hand. Our attention is undivided, and our energy is focused. This allows us to work more efficiently and effectively, without the mental clutter of distractions. In this state of focus, our creativity flourishes. We can think clearly, problem solve more easily, and generate new ideas. Presence is the gateway to peak performance because it allows us to tap into the full potential of our mind and body. Cultivating presence requires practice, and it begins with simple moments of awareness. We can start by focusing on our breath, paying attention to the sensations in our body, or observing the world around us without judgment. It can also be helpful to practice mindfulness in everyday activities, such as eating, walking, or doing chores, by bringing our full attention to each task. Over time, these small moments of presence begin to accumulate, and we can carry that awareness into all areas of our lives. The power of presence is also a reminder of the impermanence of life. Everything in the world is constantly changing, and nothing remains the same for long. The past is gone, and the future is uncertain. The only certainty we have is the present moment. When we live in the present, we embrace the transient nature of life and find peace in the understanding that everything is in a constant state of flux. We stop clinging to the past or worrying about the future, and instead, we experience life as it is, beautiful, fleeting, and ever-changing. In the practice of presence, we also come to understand the interconnectedness of all things. When we are present, we recognize that we are not separate from the world around us. We are not isolated individuals, but part of a greater whole. We begin to see that everything and everyone is connected, and that our thoughts, actions, and energy have an impact on the world. This understanding fosters a sense of compassion, empathy, and unity. It reminds us that we are all in this together, and that our presence in the world matters. Ultimately, the power of presence is the key to living a life of depth, meaning, and fulfillment. When we are present, we stop chasing after external goals and start living in alignment with our inner truth. We are able to experience life as it unfolds, without being weighed down by the past or the future. We embrace each moment fully, and in doing so, we cultivate a deep sense of peace, joy, and gratitude. The present moment is where life truly happens. It is where we find our truest selves, and it is where we can experience the fullness of existence. Compassion and empathy are two of the most profound and transformative qualities we can cultivate within ourselves. These principles not only change how we relate to others, but also shape our inner world and the way we experience life. Compassion is the ability to feel for others, to truly understand their suffering, and to wish to alleviate it. Empathy, on the other hand, is the capacity to deeply understand and share the feelings of another person. While they are distinct in their definitions, compassion and empathy are closely intertwined, and together they form the foundation of meaningful relationships and a harmonious existence. To be compassionate means to respond with kindness and care when we see someone in pain or difficulty. It involves recognizing that suffering is a universal experience, something that all humans face at different points in their lives. Compassion is not about feeling pity or sympathy, but rather about sharing in the experience of suffering and offering support. When we are compassionate, we seek to help others in whatever way we can, whether it's through kind words, actions, or simply being there for them. This quality creates a sense of connection between us and the people around us, and it helps to ease the burdens of life. Empathy, on the other hand, is about understanding the emotional experience of another person. It is the ability to put ourselves in someone else's shoes, to see the world through their eyes, and to feel what they feel. Empathy goes beyond mere intellectual understanding. It is a deep emotional resonance that connects us to others on a soul level. When we are empathetic, we are able to sense the pain, joy, or fear of others, and we respond with compassion and care. Empathy helps to bridge the gap between individuals and fosters a sense of unity and shared humanity. The beauty of compassion and empathy is that they are not limited by boundaries such as race, religion, or culture. These qualities transcend differences and connect us to the core of what it means to be human. When we practice compassion and empathy, we recognize that every person we encounter has their own story, their own struggles, and their own joys. We come to understand that we are not separate from others, but interconnected in a vast web of human experience. This realization fosters a deep sense of love and understanding for everyone, regardless of their background or circumstances. In our modern, fast-paced world, it can be easy to lose touch with compassion and empathy. We may become so focused on our own lives, our goals, and our struggles that we forget to truly listen to others or offer them support. We may become desensitized to the suffering of the world, overwhelmed by the constant flow of negative news or the challenges we face in our personal lives. But it is precisely in these moments of difficulty that compassion and empathy are needed the most. When we practice these qualities, we counteract the isolation and division that so often pervade society. We build bridges instead of walls, and we create spaces where healing and understanding can take place. One powerful way to cultivate compassion and empathy is through active listening. Active listening means giving our full attention to the person speaking, without judgment or distraction. It means truly hearing their words and understanding their emotions, rather than just offering our own opinions or solutions. When we listen actively, we show others that we care about their experiences and that we are willing to invest time and energy into understanding them. This simple act of presence can have a profound impact on someone's life, as it makes them feel seen, heard, and valued. Another important aspect of compassion and empathy is forgiveness. When we hold on to resentment, anger, or grudges, we create emotional barriers between ourselves and others. These negative emotions prevent us from connecting on a deeper level and keep us trapped in a cycle of pain and bitterness. But when we choose to forgive, we release ourselves from the burden of negative emotions and open the door to healing. Forgiveness does not mean condoning harmful behavior or excusing mistakes, but rather it is a way of freeing ourselves from the grip of the past. It is an act of compassion and empathy, both toward others and ourselves. One of the most profound ways to experience the power of compassion and empathy is through acts of service. When we give of ourselves to others, whether it's through volunteering, offering support, or simply performing a kind act, we are putting our compassion into action. Acts of service create a ripple effect of positivity, spreading kindness and understanding throughout our communities. They also remind us of the interconnectedness of all beings, as we recognize that when we help others, we are helping ourselves as well. The joy that comes from serving others is immeasurable, and it deepens our sense of purpose and fulfillment. Compassion and empathy are also essential for self-compassion. Often, we are our own harshest critics, judging ourselves for our mistakes, flaws, or perceived shortcomings. But true compassion begins within. When we learn to treat ourselves with kindness, patience, and understanding, we can extend those same qualities to others. Self-compassion allows us to accept our imperfections and to be gentle with ourselves when we fall short. This self-acceptance forms the foundation for extending empathy and compassion to others, as we are better able to understand and relate to their struggles. The practice of compassion and empathy also has profound effects on our mental and emotional well-being. Studies have shown that practicing kindness and empathy can reduce stress, lower anxiety, and even improve physical health. When we engage in acts of compassion, our brains release feel-good chemicals such as oxytocin and serotonin, which promote feelings of happiness and well-being. These positive emotions help to counterbalance the negative effects of stress and contribute to a sense of inner peace. In this way, compassion and empathy not only benefit others, but they also nourish our own hearts and minds. As we continue to develop compassion and empathy, we come to realize that these qualities are not limited to specific acts or interactions, but are a way of being in the world. They are ways of living that permeate every aspect of our lives, from the way we treat our family and friends to the way we respond to strangers and the world at large. Compassion and empathy are qualities that can be cultivated through intention and practice, and their transformative power extends far beyond individual experiences. They create a world where love, connection, and understanding are the driving forces of human interaction. In the end, compassion and empathy are the keys to a life of meaning and purpose. When we open our hearts to others, we unlock the potential for deep, transformative relationships. We heal the wounds of the world through kindness and understanding, and we create a more compassionate, empathetic society. Through these principles, we come to understand that we are all in this together, and that by lifting others up, we lift ourselves as well. Gratitude is one of the simplest, yet most profound principles that can transform our lives. It's easy to overlook, but when we truly practice gratitude, it has the power to shift our perspective, open our hearts, and change the way we experience the world. At its core, gratitude is the act of recognizing and appreciating the blessings and beauty in our lives, both big and small. It's a powerful antidote to negativity and a tool for cultivating joy and contentment. In our busy lives, it's all too easy to focus on what we lack or what we wish were different. We get caught up in the chase for more, whether it's more success, more possessions, or more validation. This constant striving can create a sense of dissatisfaction and emptiness. But when we take a step back and practice gratitude, we shift our focus from what's missing to what's already present. Gratitude helps us to see the richness in our lives, even in the midst of struggle or hardship. The beauty of gratitude lies in its ability to transform our perspective. When we are grateful, we train our minds to focus on the positive aspects of our lives rather than dwelling on the negative. We start to notice the small, everyday moments that we often take for granted. The warmth of the sun on our skin, the laughter of a loved one, the food on our table, the roof over our heads. These seemingly ordinary things are actually extraordinary when we take the time to appreciate them. Gratitude opens our eyes to the abundance that already surrounds us, and in doing so, it fills our hearts with a sense of peace and fulfillment. But gratitude is not just about recognizing the good things in our lives. It is also about finding meaning and growth in challenges and difficulties. When we face hardship, it's natural to feel frustration, anger, or sadness. However, by practicing gratitude, we can begin to shift our perspective on adversity. Instead of viewing challenges as obstacles, we can choose to see them as opportunities for growth and learning. We can be grateful for the lessons they offer, the strength they help us build, and the resilience they encourage. This shift in mindset doesn't make the difficulty go away, but it allows us to face it with a sense of peace, understanding, and even appreciation. Gratitude also has a profound effect on our relationships. When we express gratitude to others, we acknowledge their value and significance in our lives. Whether it's a simple thank you for a kind gesture or a deeper expression of appreciation for their presence and support, gratitude strengthens the bond between us. It creates a culture of kindness and respect where people feel valued and seen. Gratitude is contagious. It spreads from one person to another, creating a ripple effect of positivity and connection. When we express gratitude, we not only uplift others, but we also nourish our own souls. There are many ways to cultivate gratitude in our daily lives. One powerful practice is to keep a gratitude journal. Each day, write down a few things that you're grateful for. These can be as simple as a good cup of coffee, a kind word from a friend, or a moment of peace in the middle of a busy day. The act of writing these things down helps to anchor them in your mind, and over time, it trains your brain to look for the positive aspects of your life. When you make gratitude a habit, it becomes a natural part of your mindset, and you start to see the world through a lens of appreciation and abundance. Another way to practice gratitude is through meditation. Take a few moments each day to sit in stillness and focus on the things you're grateful for. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and allow feelings of gratitude to fill your heart. Visualize the people, experiences, and blessings that have brought you joy and peace. Feel the warmth of gratitude spread throughout your body and allow it to expand with each breath. This practice not only cultivates a sense of gratitude, but also deepens your connection to the present moment, fostering a sense of inner peace and contentment. Gratitude can also be expressed through acts of service. When we give to others, whether it's through a kind gesture, a thoughtful word, or a helping hand, we are expressing our gratitude for the blessings in our own lives. Acts of service create a sense of interconnectedness and remind us that we are all part of something larger than ourselves. By giving, we not only express our thanks, but also create a ripple effect of kindness that spreads through our communities and the world at large. The power of gratitude extends beyond our individual lives. It can transform entire communities and societies. When we collectively embrace gratitude, we create a culture of abundance, generosity, and compassion. We begin to see each other not as competitors, but as fellow travelers on the same journey. Gratitude fosters unity, cooperation, and a deep sense of shared humanity. In a world that often feels divided, gratitude has the potential to bring us back to what truly matters, the connections between us and the love we share. It's important to remember that gratitude is a choice. In any given moment, we can choose to focus on the negative or the positive, to dwell in what's lacking or to appreciate what's already here. This choice is a powerful one, and it shapes the way we experience life. When we choose gratitude, we shift our energy from scarcity to abundance, from fear to love, from isolation to connection. Gratitude transforms us, both inside and out. One of the most powerful aspects of gratitude is its ability to attract more of what we're grateful for. When we focus on the good in our lives, we invite more of it into our experience. Gratitude opens the door to abundance, whether it's love, joy, success, or opportunities. The more we give thanks for what we already have, the more we create space for even greater blessings to flow into our lives. This is the natural law of attraction. In action, what we focus on, we draw more of. Gratitude is the key to unlocking the flow of abundance in all areas of our lives. As we deepen our practice of gratitude, we begin to experience life in a whole new way. We realize that everything is a gift, that every moment is precious, and that the true wealth of life is found in the simple joys and blessings that surround us every day. Gratitude helps us to embrace life as it is, without needing to change it, fix it, or improve it. It teaches us to appreciate the present moment and to find beauty in the ordinary. In a world that often encourages us to chase after more, gratitude reminds us that we already have enough, that we are already enough. When we live from a place of gratitude, we not only transform ourselves, but also contribute to the transformation of the world. We create a world where appreciation, love, and kindness are the driving forces, where abundance flows freely, and where every person feels valued and seen. Gratitude is not just a principle, it is a way of life, a powerful force that can change everything. Acceptance is a powerful principle that can bring peace, freedom, and growth into our lives. At its core, acceptance is the act of embracing life as it is, without resistance or judgment. It's the ability to acknowledge and be at peace with the present moment, regardless of how it may appear. This doesn't mean that we passively accept everything that happens to us without action or reflection. Instead, it means that we stop fighting against the things we cannot change and learn to navigate life with a sense of calm and understanding. In life, we often encounter situations that challenge us, disrupt our plans, or bring discomfort. Our natural tendency is to resist these situations, to wish they were different, or to struggle against them. This resistance, however, creates inner turmoil and suffering. The more we fight against reality, the more we experience frustration and pain. But when we practice acceptance, we release the need to control or change things that are beyond our power. We allow life to unfold as it will, without imposing our will on it. Acceptance frees us from the burden of resistance and opens us to the flow of life. Acceptance is not about resignation or giving up. It's about recognizing what is, without denial or avoidance. It's about seeing things as they are, without judgment or the need to label them as good or bad. When we accept something, we stop fighting against it and start to understand it. We begin to see the lessons it brings, the growth it fosters, and the opportunities it presents. Acceptance doesn't mean that we stop striving for improvement or change, but it does mean that we stop resisting the present moment and the way things are. One of the most difficult areas where acceptance plays a key role is in our relationships. We often have expectations of others and can become frustrated when people don't meet those expectations. We may judge others for their actions, beliefs, or behaviors, believing that they should act differently. However, acceptance teaches us to let go of these judgments and to appreciate people for who they are rather than who we think they should be. This doesn't mean we condone harmful behavior or tolerate disrespect, but it does mean that we accept people as they are without trying to change them. When we practice acceptance in our relationships, we create space for deeper understanding, compassion, and connection. Accepting ourselves is perhaps the most important form of acceptance. So often, we are our own harshest critics. We dwell on our mistakes, imperfections, and shortcomings. We feel guilt, shame, or regret for the things we wish we had done differently. But acceptance teaches us to be kind to ourselves, to embrace our flaws, and learn from our experiences rather than dwell on them. When we accept ourselves fully, we free ourselves from the chains of self-criticism and judgment. We recognize that we are human, that we are works in progress, and that our mistakes do not define us. Self-acceptance is the foundation of self-love and growth. It allows us to move forward with grace and humility. Acceptance also plays a vital role in how we relate to our circumstances. Life is unpredictable, and we can't always control the events that unfold. Sometimes we experience setbacks, losses, or challenges that seem unfair or difficult to bear. In these moments, acceptance can be a powerful tool for resilience. Rather than resisting or resenting the situation, we choose to accept it as part of our journey. This doesn't mean we become passive or indifferent, but that we acknowledge the reality of the situation and choose to respond to it in a way that is calm and grounded. Acceptance helps us to cope with adversity and to find peace even in the most challenging times. It's important to note that acceptance is not the same as complacency. Acceptance doesn't mean that we stop striving for change or growth, nor does it mean that we settle for situations that are harmful or unhealthy. Rather, acceptance is about being at peace with the present moment while still being open to improvement, transformation, and growth. It's the recognition that the present moment, as it is a necessary step in the larger journey of our lives. Acceptance is not passive, it is active and empowering, allowing us to move forward with clarity and purpose. One of the most beautiful aspects of acceptance is that it brings a sense of inner peace. When we stop resisting life, we stop creating unnecessary stress and anxiety. We let go of the need to control everything, and we learn to trust the flow of life. Acceptance helps us to surrender to what is, to trust that everything is unfolding as it should, and to let go of our attachments to specific outcomes. This trust creates a deep sense of peace within us, knowing that we don't have to fight against life's challenges. We can face them with grace and acceptance. Acceptance also teaches us patience. In our fast-paced world, we often want things to happen quickly. We are impatient for change, for results, for answers. But acceptance teaches us to be patient with ourselves and with life. It reminds us that not everything happens according to our timeline, and that sometimes the best things take time. Patience allows us to remain calm and grounded, even when things aren't unfolding as we expect. It teaches us that everything has its own rhythm, and that by accepting the pace of life, we create space for growth and transformation. In practice, acceptance can be cultivated in a variety of ways. One of the most effective practices is mindfulness. When we bring our attention to the present moment and observe our thoughts, feelings, and sensations without judgment, we are practicing acceptance. Mindfulness helps us to let go of resistance and to embrace the present moment as it is. It allows us to be fully engaged in life, rather than caught up in our thoughts or worries about the future or past. Another powerful practice of acceptance is surrender. Surrendering is not about giving up, but about letting go of the need to control everything. It's about trusting the process of life and allowing ourselves to be guided by it. When we surrender, we release our grip on outcomes and open ourselves to the flow of life. Surrendering allows us to be more flexible, adaptable, and resilient in the face of challenges. Acceptance is also about releasing attachment. We often get attached to specific outcomes, desires, or expectations. This attachment creates resistance and suffering when things don't go as planned. By practicing acceptance, we learn to let go of our attachments and to flow with life's natural rhythms. We understand that we don't need to hold on tightly to what we think we want, because life has a way of providing what we truly need. When we embrace acceptance, we create space for greater peace, freedom, and growth. We stop fighting against the present moment, and we learn to navigate life with a sense of calm and clarity. Acceptance is a transformative principle that can change the way we experience the world, helping us to live with greater resilience, compassion, and joy. Gratitude is a transformative force that can change the way we experience life. It is a powerful principle that shifts our focus from what is lacking to what is abundant, from what is wrong to what is right. Gratitude has the power to change our mindset, our relationships, and even our physical and emotional well-being. It is a practice that invites us to look at life with a heart full of appreciation, and to acknowledge the gifts and blessings that surround us, no matter how small or large. When we embrace gratitude, we begin to see the world through a different lens. Instead of focusing on what we don't have or what is missing in our lives, we begin to recognize and appreciate the countless things that are already present. We realize that there is much to be thankful for. From the simple joys of daily life to the more profound experiences that shape our journey, gratitude invites us to acknowledge the beauty, love, and abundance that already exists. And in doing so, we shift our energy from scarcity to abundance. Gratitude is not just about being thankful for the big things in life, our successes, our achievements, or our material possessions. It is also about recognizing the smaller, often overlooked blessings that enrich our lives every day. It's the warm embrace of a loved one, the sound of birds singing in the morning, the joy of a good meal, or the comfort of a quiet moment of reflection. Gratitude helps us to see the extraordinary in the ordinary, to recognize that every moment holds something worth appreciating. When we open our hearts to gratitude, we begin to experience the richness of life in ways that we may have previously overlooked. One of the most profound effects of gratitude is its ability to shift our mindset. When we focus on what we are grateful for, we begin to retrain our minds to notice the positive aspects of life, rather than dwelling on the negative. Our brains have a natural tendency to focus on what is wrong or what is lacking, as this helped our ancestors survive in a world full of dangers. However, in modern times, this tendency can lead to feelings of stress, anxiety, and dissatisfaction. Gratitude is a tool that helps us rewire our brains to focus on what is working, on the good that exists in our lives, and on the things that bring us joy. The more we practice gratitude, the more we cultivate a mindset of abundance, positivity, and peace. Gratitude also plays a key role in our relationships. When we take the time to appreciate the people in our lives, we create stronger, more meaningful connections. We recognize the love, support, and kindness that others bring into our lives, and we express our appreciation for them. This not only deepens our bond with others, but it also encourages a spirit of kindness and generosity. When we show gratitude, we create a ripple effect of positivity, making others feel valued and loved. Gratitude in relationships fosters an environment of mutual respect, understanding, and connection, and it strengthens the fabric of our communities. One of the most powerful practices for cultivating gratitude is keeping a gratitude journal. This simple but effective practice invites us to reflect on the things we are thankful for each day. By taking just a few minutes to write down the blessings we have received, we train our minds to focus on the positive aspects of our lives. This practice helps us to start and end our day with a sense of appreciation and to cultivate a habit of mindfulness and presence. Over time, a gratitude journal can shift our perspective, allowing us to see the world through the lens of abundance and appreciation. In addition to journaling, expressing gratitude to others is an essential part of the practice. When we take the time to thank others for their kindness, generosity, or support, we not only make them feel valued, but we also reinforce our own sense of gratitude. It is a way of acknowledging the positive impact that others have on our lives and expressing our appreciation for their contributions. Whether it's through a heartfelt thank you, a thoughtful note, or a simple gesture of kindness, expressing gratitude to others strengthens our relationships and deepens our sense of connection. Gratitude also has a powerful impact on our emotional and physical well-being. Studies have shown that people who practice gratitude regularly experience higher levels of happiness, lower levels of stress and anxiety, and improved physical health. Gratitude has been linked to better sleep, stronger immune function, and increased resilience in the face of adversity. When we practice gratitude, we create a positive feedback loop that enhances our overall well-being. We feel more content, more peaceful, and more connected to ourselves and the world around us. One of the most beautiful aspects of gratitude is that it is not limited to only the positive experiences in life. While it is easy to be thankful for the good things, true gratitude also involves embracing the challenges and difficulties we encounter. Life is full of ups and downs, and it's during the tough times that gratitude can be especially transformative. When we can find something to be grateful for, even in the midst of hardship, we develop resilience and strength. Gratitude in difficult times helps us to see the lessons and growth that come from adversity, and it reminds us that even in our darkest moments, there is always something to appreciate. Gratitude is also an essential part of spiritual growth. Many spiritual traditions emphasize the importance of gratitude as a practice that connects us to the divine, to the sacredness of life, and to the interconnectedness of all beings. Gratitude opens our hearts and minds to the divine presence that permeates the universe, reminding us that we are part of something much larger than ourselves. It helps us to cultivate humility, to recognize that everything we have is a gift, and to honor the sacredness of life in all its forms. Finally, gratitude is a practice that deepens over time. The more we cultivate gratitude, the more we begin to notice the abundance that surrounds us. We begin to appreciate life in all its dimensions, from the small moments of joy to the larger, more profound experiences. Gratitude transforms the way we perceive the world, allowing us to see it as a place of beauty, wonder, and possibility. It encourages us to live with an open heart, to embrace the blessings that come our way, and to share our gratitude with others. Incorporating gratitude into our daily lives has the potential to create profound transformation. By shifting our focus from what is lacking to what is abundant, we open ourselves to a life of greater peace, joy, and fulfillment. Gratitude reminds us that no matter where we are on our journey, there is always something to be thankful for. It is a powerful practice that can bring light to even the darkest days and guide us toward a life filled with love, connection, and abundance. Compassion is one of the most profound spiritual principles, and it's one that can completely transform the way we interact with others and perceive the world. It is the ability to deeply understand the pain and suffering of others and to respond with empathy, care, and kindness. Compassion goes beyond sympathy. It is the heartfelt desire to alleviate the suffering of others, to offer a helping hand, and to extend love and understanding without judgment. When we practice compassion, we open our hearts to the suffering of others, recognizing that they too are on a journey and are facing their own struggles. We no longer see ourselves as separate from others, but as part of a shared human experience. Compassion allows us to connect with others on a deeper level, seeing them not for their flaws or mistakes, but as fellow beings who deserve love and understanding. It is through this connection that true healing can occur, both for ourselves and for others. Compassion begins with self-compassion. We cannot truly offer compassion to others unless we have cultivated it within ourselves. Self-compassion means treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer a close friend who is suffering. It means acknowledging our own pain and struggles without judgment and allowing ourselves to be imperfect. By being compassionate toward ourselves, we become more capable of extending that same compassion to others. A key aspect of compassion is empathy, the ability to put ourselves in another person's shoes and to feel what they are feeling. Empathy allows us to connect with others on an emotional level. understanding their pain, their joy, and their fears. When we are empathetic, we listen with our hearts, not just our ears. We offer a safe space for others to express their emotions, knowing that by doing so, we help lighten their burdens. Empathy fosters deep bonds between people, creating a sense of solidarity and mutual support. Compassion also involves letting go of judgment. It is easy to judge others based on their actions, appearance, or circumstances. But true compassion invites us to see beyond surface judgments and to understand the deeper context of someone's life. We may not always agree with others or understand their choices, but compassion allows us to accept them as they are, without condemnation. When we let go of judgment, we create a space for understanding and healing to take place, both for ourselves and for those we interact with. One of the most powerful ways to cultivate compassion is through acts of kindness. Simple gestures, such as offering a smile, lending a hand, or listening attentively, can have a profound impact on others. These small acts of kindness can make someone's day brighter, ease their suffering, or remind them that they are not alone. Compassion doesn't always require grand gestures. It can be expressed through everyday actions that show we care. The more we practice kindness, the more natural compassion becomes in our lives. Compassion is also about being present with others in their pain. Sometimes, we may not have the ability to fix someone's problems or alleviate their suffering, but simply being there with them can make a world of difference. When we are present with someone in their pain, we acknowledge their experience, validate their emotions, and offer them a sense of comfort and support. The presence of a compassionate listener can be incredibly healing, as it reminds the other person that they are seen, heard, and loved. In addition to helping others, compassion also helps us. When we show kindness and empathy to others, we experience a sense of fulfillment and joy. There is a deep sense of purpose that comes from being able to make a positive difference in someone else's life. Compassion also fosters a sense of interconnectedness, reminding us that we are all part of a larger web of life. The more we give, the more we receive, both in terms of emotional nourishment and spiritual growth. At the heart of compassion is unconditional love. Compassion invites us to love others without expectation of anything in return. It asks us to love even when others are difficult, when they have wronged us, or when they are struggling in ways we don't fully understand. Compassion is not based on what others do for us or how they treat us. It is a love that transcends conditions and boundaries. This type of love can be transformative, healing not only our relationships, but also ourselves. Compassion also extends to the natural world and all living beings. It is the recognition that we are interconnected with all life, and that the suffering of one is the suffering of all. Compassion for the earth and its creatures involves taking steps to care for the environment, protect animals, and preserve the delicate balance of life on this planet. It means recognizing that all beings, human, animal, plant, and earth, deserve respect, care, and compassion. When we embrace this holistic view of compassion, we contribute to the well-being of the entire planet. In the modern world, where it is easy to become caught up in the busyness of life and the distractions of technology, compassion can sometimes be overlooked. But in truth, compassion is more necessary now than ever. The world is full of suffering, whether it is personal, social, or global. And it is through compassion that we can bring healing and peace. By fostering compassion within ourselves and in our communities, we can create a more loving and understanding world. Compassion also has a ripple effect. When we show compassion to others, they are more likely to pay it forward, creating a chain of kindness and love that spreads throughout the world. Each act of compassion is a seed that can grow into a forest of healing, understanding, and connection. By practicing compassion in our daily lives, we contribute to the collective shift toward a more compassionate, peaceful world. In spiritual traditions across the globe, compassion is revered as one of the highest virtues. It is the essence of many religious teachings and practices, including those of Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam, which all emphasize the importance of showing love and kindness to others. Compassion connects us to the divine and to the sacredness of all life. It is a divine quality that can elevate our consciousness and bring us closer to the highest expression of love and truth. Ultimately, compassion is a way of living. It is a principle that guides how we engage with others, how we treat ourselves, and how we approach the world. It reminds us that we are all worthy of love, respect, and care. By embracing compassion in all its forms toward ourselves, others, and the world, we become agents of healing, love, and peace. Compassion is not just an ideal to aspire to. It is a way of being, a way of living that can transform both our lives and the lives of those around us.